Now, I would like to welcome our chief guest, Ms. Renisha Winston, Editorial Director, I Manager, Publications, Tamil Nadu. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now, I would like to welcome the event coordinator, Dr. S. Chandramohan, librarian, NIT, for his sincere contribution to bring a wonderful speaker for this event. Welcome, sir. Now, I would like to
Welcome, madam.
welcome all HODs, teaching and non-teaching faculties of our college and participants from various institutions. Finally, I would like to welcome my dear colleagues and HODs of other departments, my dear students and participants. Once again, I welcome all for this event. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. For the felicitation address, I kindly invite Dr. N.K. Shaktivel, Dean of Academic Affairs at Nehru Institute of Technology.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good afternoon. Happy good afternoon. I am extremely sorry as I had a class from 11 to 12. I couldn't join on time. I'm sorry. First of all, I would like to thank our most respected and valuable resource person, Renisa Winston, ma'am, Editorial Director, I Manager Publications, Tamil Nadu. Madam, we are extremely happy as we have a wonderful session on how to publish successful research paper. As far as the current scenario is concerned, all researchers, even faculty members, senior professors wanted to publish more research papers for demonstrating their performance. Publish or perish. It is a very simple word, everybody focusing. The successful research paper is very, very important. One reason because some papers I had opportunity to review and I understood that the works and all very nice, excellent contributions and all there, but the authors fail to highlight their contributions. So the convincing reviewer and the convincing readers are very, very important one, so that our papers will be encouraged by other researchers and we can get a very good citation as well as we can get publication acceptance, that means notification. So the research publication is the art and the skill wanted to develop. So as far as today's session, how to publish successful research paper is very, very important one. So it is a great opportunity. Our dynamic librarian, Dr. C.S. Chandramohan Kumar sir, rightly identified a right research person to conduct this session. So I thank librarian sir, and not only that, our aero department under the leadership of Professor Bhairavi madam conducting various programs like this. So the librarian sir supported aero department to conduct this session. We are extremely happy. So my dear participants, this session is very, very useful because you may have a research skill, you may implement and got a very fruitful result that you wanted to write your ideas in such a manner so that you can successfully publish your paper. As far as our Nehru group of institution is concerned, under the energetic and dynamic leaders of Chairman Dr. P. Krishnadas sir and C1 Secretary Dr. P. Krishna Kumar sir is encouraging our people to focus more research on this. Even our Nehru group of institutions offering scholarship and benefit to researchers for doing a research, for participating in international conferences, even for publishing papers, the faculty and all getting a stipend. So our Nehru Institute of Technology, under the leadership of our dynamic principal, proactive leader, Dr. Sivaraja sir, encouraging all faculty members to contribute the research work because he is encouraging to get the stipend. So our NGA as well as Nehru Institute of Technology encouraging researchers to focus to publish research papers. So my dear faculty members, my dear students and my dear participants, this session definitely help you to publish your paper So, and not only that, you can get the stipend from NGA. With these words, I would like to conclude my session. I'm extremely happy to join and participate this session because as a researcher, still I wanted to improve my research skill as well as writing skill. So my senior professors, HODs also participating in this session. I'm extremely happy. And my dear participants, please understand what our madam presenting and sharing her knowledge, skills, and if you have doubt, interact with madam, and it will help you to write very successful research paper. With these words, I would like to conclude my speech. Thank you very much. Thank you. I thank Professor Radhakrishnan sir also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Professor T. Banu to introduce the Honorable Speaker of the Day.
Good morning, everyone. It's my privilege to give the introduction about the chief guest. Ms. Renisha Vinson is the editorial director of iManager Publications, which is one of India's largest scientific research publishers, and she has been able to take the company to one of the most respectable journal publishers in India. iManager Publication publishes 28 academic journals in scientific, technology, education, and management areas in print and online forms. The journals have high attention in India and internationally among the scientific community. iManager Conferences is a part of iManager Publications and conducts well-received conferences in various fields. She graduated from Tamil Nadu Agricultural University and has worked with large organizations in the field of content development.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. With most respect, I now invite our Honorable Speaker, Ms. Renisha Winston, Editorial Director of iManager Publications, to share her thoughts.
A very warm good afternoon to one and all present here. So before moving into the session, I would like to thank everyone who has made this possible today. This webinar, which will be very useful to young researchers who are looking forward to publish their research papers. So I would like to start with thanking the management of Nehru Institute of Technology, the chief patron, Dr. P. Krishna Kumar, the patron, Dr. M. Shivaraja, principal, co-patron, Dr. N.K. Shaktivel, who is Dean Academics, convener, Professor S. Bhairavi, coordinator, Dr. C.S. Chandramohan Kumar, the librarian. So I thank each one of you for giving this wonderful opportunity today. I also thank all participants who have taken the time to come and listen to this webinar. So without wasting much time, let me get into the session. So the session for today is how to publish a successful research paper. So before moving into the research paper, so we need to understand what is research and the importance of research in our day-to-day life. Because whenever people think of research, they think that research is something which is a very secluded topic and not for the common man. So it's not that, because research starts with inquiry of knowledge. See, we all know that necessity is the mother of all inventions. So it all started with the invention of fire, then with the invention of wheat, and from then on, we have come till the onset of artificial intelligence, data mining, machine learning, and what all. So research empowers us with knowledge. Through scientists, we carry out research, and the rest of the world benefits from their findings. So if you take specifically healthcare, research helps to diagnose diseases and health problems and prevent the development or recurrence of disease, treat illness to improve survival rates, and improve the quality of life. If you take all other disciplines, the purpose of research is to inform action, gather evidence for theories, and contributing to developing knowledge in the field of study. So research doesn't stop anywhere. Research is an ever revolving or evolving study. And in short, research expands the knowledge base which has been set for today and builds credibility for future research. So I would like to show that you see this picture on the screen. So this is the second page of the RT-PCR test, because I just wanted to show this picture to make our audience understand how research is so intertwined in our day-to-day lives. So we all know that we are in the pandemic season, and like COVID-19 has affected almost two by third of the population worldwide. And for interpreting the diagnostic test for SARS-CoV-2, the second page of the RT-PCR test gives this image along with this DOI by JAMA. It's a paper published by JAMA Network. So this is reaching even a very common man, right? Because when you take an RT-PCR test, the research reaches a common man. So if during this pandemic, people are able to treat this illness, which is a sudden onset. Corona was a disease which was not known to us before 2019. So, but when it came in 2019, the doctors were able to treat this because of the earlier researches that have been conducted. So that is why research is very important, and I congratulate all researchers who are attending this conference or this webinar today. So this webinar will talk about steps in publishing a research paper. So which starts with selecting the right research topic, then selecting the right journal for publishing, and understanding the publishing process and how to prepare a good research paper. So what are the steps in research? Selecting the research topic. So see, you might be in any field of research. It could be nanotechnology, mechanical engineering, wireless, computer science, or healthcare. It could be any area of research. So, but first of all, you need to have a good knowledge of the existing literature which is in your field, what previous researchers have done. So only based on the work that has been done in your field earlier, you will be able to identify the research gap that is existing or the need for what has to be done in future. So based on that, you have to get a novel approach to address the gap which is existing and what has to be done. And when you consider this novel approach, you make sure that it has the potential to contribute to the field of study that you are undertaking and to the society at large. So that is where the idea of a good research topic comes into place. You cannot take any random research topic which has been already done, which is not going to make any significant impact to the society or to the field. If you're going to take such a stand and you're going to take an easier approach towards your research, because the earlier one which is said, like where you are taking a considerably new area which has a potential to contribute to the field and to enhance it further, it needs a lot of hard work. So don't take the easy way, like always take the extra step to walk an extra mile, so that will give you a lot of leverage in your career later on. So how do you get inspiration for your topic from your related area of research? So start with reading a lot of journal articles. So you know, like prominent journals in your field of study. So start with reading journal articles, research papers, review papers, and meta-analysis. I specifically say meta-analysis because it reduces the time to read a lot of papers. A meta-analysis is a paper which can combine up to 50 to 80 or even 100 papers. So it put together all related research papers of that area. So if you are an young scholar who doesn't have time or you are too much busy in your research, you can also get meta-analysis papers and then start reading about it. And then second one is trade magazines, because they also give you a lot of insight. Because journal articles go through a process of review, it takes some time to come into print version. But like if you talk about trade magazines, they come out every month mostly. So you can get inspiration from magazines. I mean, it's not about like popular magazines. I'm talking about serious magazines which are related to your field of study. Social media is a very powerful inspiration, as well as blogs, podcasts, industry shows. You can get inspiration. If you go to an industry show, you can get inspiration from that as well. And interaction with fellow researchers in your field, not only fellow researchers, people who are well reputed in your field of study, researchers who are very well respected in your field of study, try to get contact with them and try speaking to them by emails and directly, so that it gives you a lot of knowledge. And with all this knowledge, you will be able to get a good research topic that you will be choosing for your research thesis. because that forms the basis for your further research papers. So the next step in research is selecting the right journal for publishing. So you have selected a topic and you have started your research work. So you start with reading a lot of literature. So that forms the basis of the literature review for your paper. And then like you come with your first set of data sets, and then you may come with the second set of data sets. So with one set of data, you can start looking forward to publishing a research paper. So when you thinking of publishing a research paper, the first thing is you should select the right journal for publishing. So as per the current data, I have tried to give a very clear picture here. If you take Web of Science or Clarivate Analytics, it indexes 21,517 journals. So the next is Scopus, that is 34,346 journals, and Directory of Open Access Journals has 9,000 journals. So I would like to give the difference between Web of Science and Scopus. See, all of the Web of Science journals will be in Scopus, but not all the journals in Scopus will be in Web of Science. That is why we always place Web of Science in the first position, which is more choosy and more quality oriented. The second thing is like the number of journals published by leading publishers itself comes closely to 12,000 to 15,000. Like, because I have listed only few, like Elsevier 3,263, Springer more than 2,900, Taylor and Francis more than 2,100, Wiley 1,500, Cielo 1,249, and Sage is more than 950. So it is estimated that roughly there could be more than 50,000 academic journals. So this 50,000 academic journals is a very, very reasonable number, and I'm talking about only peer-reviewed journals. See, if you go further and if you consider predatory journals and all journals which are not very serious about proper research, then it could be more than 1 lakh, because a rough estimate talks that Google Scholar indexes around 1,50,000 journals. But Google doesn't give the exact number of paper or journals it is indexing. So I don't want to add that here. So these include, this 50,000 peer-reviewed journals include both traditional print and online and also open access journals. So I'll talk about open access journals detailedly. So how do you select the right journal? So if you are aiming for a top type journal in your field, it could be like material science or mechanical engineering or any field. If you're looking for the top type journal, everybody wants to finally reach an SCI index journal in the career. Everyone wants to publish an SCI paper. They want to have a SCI paper. But at this initial stage of your research, it might be not a very achievable dream, I would say. But if it depends upon the institution, the field of study you're taking, and so many other factors. So social citation index expanded, social sciences citation index, arts and humanities citation index emerging. It has been classified into 4 databases. So if you're in social sciences, you have to check into this: sciences, science citation, arts and humanities, and emerging sources. Then comes Scopus or SCImago ranking. So all SCI journals are in Scopus, but not all Scopus journals are in SCI. So this I mentioned in the previous slide also. So you can use Scopus ranking also. Scopus is also very good. Like the next step where researchers want to reach is have to have a paper in a Scopus index journal. And the third thing is like there is a software which has been done by a professor from management. Her name is Anne Hassing. So it's a software called Publish or Perish. So it's a software program that retrieves and analyzes academic citations. And she has also prepared a journal quality list based on the citations and other areas of work by the journals. Fourth is Cabell's list. Cabell's is a whitelist and blacklist. So whitelist journals are preferred by researchers. Fifth is Ulrich Web directories. So Ulrich Web directories give you which of the journals are peer reviewed. So if you check, like I spoke about 50,000 journals which are serious academic journals. So most of those peer-reviewed journals will find in Ulrich directories. So second, so what are open access journals? It is a rising trend, right? I hope like many of our my audience today, they know about open access journals. I don't know what idea like you have towards open access journals, Because see, open access and predatory journals are intertwined. All open access journals are not predatory, but all predatory journals are open access, that I can very boldly say. So open access journals have a different model. Like there are traditional print journals where we collect subscription fees, and we have a print version and also an online version. So some journals have a model where when you buy a print version, the online version is given free. And there are other journals where if the subscription fee is not too high, then the subscription print journals have to be subscribed separately and the online version can be subscribed separately. But open access journals also need money to survive. So they have a different model where the authors or the funding institution pay upfront for the article, and the article is kept free. So there are many discussions surrounding open access journals, because open access journals, like if your article is open and free to all, it doesn't reach the intended audience. That's what I feel, because like if somebody is serious about your research, you will definitely go in search of the right kind of media. But like I'm not against open access journals. It's up to the wish of our researchers if they have to go for open access journals. But the cost of publishing in an open access journal is very, very high. And also you have to be very careful, because as I said, not all open access journals are predatory, because many publishers like Elsevier, Springer are also coming up with open access journals. Of course, they charge extraordinary. But not all but they are not predatory. They have a proper process of review and they take time, and also they follow all the process, and that involves certain costs. But when you take predatory journals, when I say predatory journals, it's about journals who do not do peer review. You can get your research published in 24 hours at the earliest, 2 to 3 days at the latest. So these journals are also open access, because that is the best forum that they can have, because they collect money upfront, put the papers, don't really mind what is there in the papers. So I'd like to advise all my audience here, say no to predatory journals and pseudoscience, because it might take a lot of time if you have to publish in a good quality journal, which follows all the peer review process. But when you contribute to a predatory journal, it doesn't really give anything to your career, as well as you're also in a way contributing to pseudoscience. Pseudoscience is your paper is not vetted. You're writing something and somebody is publishing without even seeing what it is, what is there. So the language or the content, nothing is checked. So see, I would really like to speak a few words on pseudoscience, because like pseudoscience is something that is plaguing research and science all over the world, and particularly India. That is why like our Indian government has taken it very seriously, because there was cases against omics and so many open access journals. So pseudoscience doesn't contribute anything to science. So I'm again and again reiterating that please don't go with predatory journals and pseudoscience, because pseudoscience, people think like whatever published is true. So somebody might take your paper and build upon it. So we are contributing to something which is non-ethical for generations. So next, like coming to the high impact factor journals. High impact factor does not imply the quality of the journal. I can very surely tell that, because the impact factor is high for a particular journal, because there might be few papers which have high impact factors. So that overall contributes to the high impact factor of the particular journal, and also because of the citations of that paper. But overall, that is not the only factor that impacts the quality of the journal. And there are many studies, if you see in the internet, which I spoke about, like predatory journals, pseudoscience, and this particular 1 hour is not enough for me to explain about all this. So I'm just talking about this in short. So okay, so you're not going with pseudoscience journals, you're not going with predatory journals, neither you're not able to go to SCI or Scopus journals now. So what do? How do you identify good academic journals other than Web of Science or Scopus? So there are few indicators. First thing, the journal should follow a double-blind review process. Second, it should have a prominent editorial board. When I say prominent editorial board, the journal should have the full details of the editors on its website, and the people on the board should be people who are well known in their field. So we cannot have an editorial board with random people. It should be people who are working in the field for minimum 15 to 20 years, and low acceptance rate. See, when I talk about essay journals, the acceptance rate could be 5 to 10% only. The rejections are very high. But when you go to Scopus ranking, like Scopus journals, the acceptance rate will be around 15 to 20. So when I talk about low acceptance rate, it could be around 30 to 35%. If a journal is accepting more than 40% of the papers, then I think their peer review is not very stringent. So these are indicators which I'm giving you. So finally, then the fourth one is abstracting and leading databases such as EBSCOhost, Procus, and Ulrichweb, because they take only peer-reviewed content, because they are very particular, though they are not up to the mark like Scopus or Web of Science. If you take EBSCOhost and Procus, they are very particular that they have only peer-reviewed content. They should have, a journal should have a proper ISSN and a digital object identifier for all its articles. This is one indicator that the journal is genuine, and you should be able to view. And that is not a only indicator, because I'm again and again telling, when you are looking for a journal, look for all the 7. If all the 7 are there, you can definitely go for that journal. So it should have an ISSN and DOI. You should be able to view current and past issue abstracts, because that shows that the journal and the publisher are serious about the work they're doing. And the last one, they should have a clear information on author guidelines and the peer review process. So now you have identified you have come to the, you have selected the right research topic. You have decided which journal you are going to go for. Well, now it's time to understand the publishing process, because I come across a lot of young researchers who are very curious to know when the paper will be published, because they'll publish the paper, they want to know the results within a month. So which is not at all possible in a peer-reviewed journal, because I'm speaking from the experience of 18 years of running this publishing company. And most of the time I see that authors are very curious, because they want to know what happened to my paper, it has been accepted, whether it's rejected. So what will be the next step? But so I just wanted to give you the steps your paper goes through, so that you understand the time frame any good publisher will take. So the editorial process or the publishing process takes a minimum of 2 to 3 months to a maximum of 6 months to a year in a good journal. It all depends upon the number of papers the journal is receiving in a year. If there are more number of papers, it could take more time, because there will be already papers waiting to be published. So let me just explain. So it starts with paper submission, then it moves on to the relevancy check, because every journal sees, you cannot send a paper on mechanical engineering to journal on management. It is not relevant, right? If it is healthcare also, you cannot send a journal on immunity to a journal on cancer research. So you need to be sure where you are targeting, which journal you are sending a paper to. I'm seeing a recent trend among even very well-known publishers like Embio and all. Nobody is really serious about the relevancy of the paper, because I think this trend came in after the introduction of open access, because people are willing to accept anything and publishing it any journal. But I would say a good journal should go with relevancy, because if you're going with that journal, you should know that this journal will have papers related to my research. So that is where relevancy check is very important. And then the similarity check or plagiarism check. Please make sure that it should not, a good journal will see that your paper should not have more than 20%, 10 to 20%. It should not exceed that. So it moves through these steps. And then it goes to only if it passes the relevancy check and the plagiarism check, a paper moves to peer review process. So after it moves to the peer review process, a paper is reviewed by minimum 2 reviewers on a blind mode. Blind mode in the sense that the author's details are not revealed to the reviewers, and the reviewers' details are not revealed to the authors. So once we get minimum 2 reviews, sometimes a paper might receive 5 reviews also, because it is sent to all the review board members, but they will choose that paper depending on their particular specialization. So after we receive the review, it comes to the editor's table, and the editor makes the decision on the basis of the recommendations given by the reviewers, and the editor's own decision on the paper also will be taken into consideration, and it will be decided there whether the paper will be rejected. If both the reviewers and the editor decide that the paper will be rejected, the paper will be rejected. That means like both the reviewers are given negative comments towards the papers, and they feel that the paper does not have any potential for further improvement, then it gets rejected. But that could be that there might be cases where the reviewers feel it could be rejected, but the editor feels that the paper has a potential for rejection, and the editor may decide to give a second chance to the author also. But it might happen this way also. The reviewers might give an acceptance, and the editor might feel that the paper is not good enough, and he might get rejected also. But after all this decision, and if the paper is moved to the next step, that is the approved process. Approved process means it is not accepted, because there will be a lot of revisions which are given by the reviewers for that paper. So the editor puts across the decisions of the reviewers to the author, and his paper is moved to the next step. Now the duty of the author is to carry out the corrections and then send for the paper has been sent for revision, and it again comes back and it follows the same process once again. See, again it goes through a plagiarism check, because new content might be added. It goes through it doesn't go through a peer review again, but it comes to the editor's decision, and again it follows. See, somewhere like there could be, if a publisher is publishing more number of journals, in the relevancy check, if it doesn't pass, it might be moved to the relevant journal. So after this, and once all the revisions are carried out and the paper is finally vetted by the editor that it is good, then it is sent to EIC acceptance. At this level also, the EIC might come up with a new set of revisions. So this process involves a lot of communication, sending back to the editor, getting it again, passing through the editor, again coming to the EIC, and finally, only after acceptance by the editor-in-chief of the journal, it moves to the page setting, copy editing, proofreading, BOI, final PDF, HTML, and paper publication. So I'm just coming to the first step, like whereas I just wanted to explain this, because paper submission, relevancy check, plagiarism check, if it doesn't move beyond this, it is called desk rejection. So once a paper is submitted to the journal, it is checked for relevancy, that is to check the suitability of the journal. Next step is plagiarism check. If it is more than 20%, and if the paper does not pass these two criteria, the editor may reject the paper right away, and this is called desk rejection. Next, I have explained the peer review process. Next, I have explained the peer review process overall. I have explained it again. And this process takes a lot of time, and this is the most time-consuming process in the publishing process. So now, because we understand the publishing process and like what are the chances of rejection and what are the chances of acceptance. So a good journal accepts only 30 to 35% of the papers. It is very important on the part of the author to prepare a good research paper that warrants acceptance. So what should they consider before submission? So I start with the scope of the research. The scope of the research is something that it should be of interest to the audience. As I said, like if it is, I explained the first slide, when you choose the research topic should be interesting. It should further research. It should contribute something to the field of your study and for future research. Second, is it relevant to the journal? Third is the similarity percentage. Fourth is reference citation. So you might have read a lot of literature review. So you will be citing a few in your papers. So whatever papers you're giving in the literature review section should be given at the end of the list as references, And also all those references must be cited as per the journal's policy. And then the structure and presentation that I will explain it in detail. The research base is the basis of the research, that is a literature review you have already studied. And research importance is the discussion. So on the discussion part, you talk about how it is coming from the past research, but how it is going to further the knowledge to advance the research in this particular field. And the research outcome, what is the outcome of the research, that could be explained in the results. And future scope and global perspective, because we live in a globalized world. So if you are taking a sample, or let's say if it's a social science journal, and if your sample is from Coimbatore, let's take Coimbatore as a case study, and like you're taking students from Coimbatore and you're talking about social media behavior. That paper is talking about social media behavior of class 12 students or higher secondary students of Coimbatore city. So this could be, when you come to the end of the paper, you should talk about the global perspective or the global need of this paper and how other researchers can work on this. So, and finally, the publishing ethics, that also I will explain in a separate slide. So the structure and presentation, so these are the primary things that should come in a research paper. The title, an abstract, keywords, introduction, literature review, research method, results, discussion, conclusion, reference citation, and figures and tables with properly citation and acknowledgement. So how, again, like I'm just going to explain it. So structure and presentation, your title should be very interesting, concise, and descriptive. So next, coming to the abstract should talk about the full paper in a short summary. So then the keywords will be used in metadata or in future search. So make sure that you use the right keywords for your research paper. And the introduction is the most important part, because when a reviewer or an editor reads it, the introduction is the part that makes it more compelling or makes them read ahead, because the introduction should talk about the premise for that particular paper, why, how, and what it is going to give. And then the literature review should give the papers related to the work, and research method, how the problem was studied. It could be, see, if it's a social science journal, the research methods will be different. Then you have to have a tool analysis and a quantitative or qualitative, whatever method you have used, it should come there. If it is an engineering paper, it could be a simulation, or it could be, if it's a civil paper, then that could be like with your samples and with the photographs of how the curations have been done and all that. And then finally, whatever the results of your research. The results have to be presented with figures and tables and whatever data. Then the discussion is the interpretation of the results. So the introduction and discussion are very, very important, because the discussion is the part that convinces your reviewer or the editor on understanding the importance of your research. So you're going to convincingly present by the results, by the strength of your results and the strength of the literature review, how this is going to really impact the field or propel it further. Then conclusion, like how it will be helpful for how it is going to change the present scenario. If this is the case which is being done presently, how this research is going to change the present scenario. And then reference citation, you have to adhere to journal style. I will just explain different reference styles in another slide. And figures and tables should be with headers and footers, and they should have legends. Legends means it should have self-explanatory notes at the end of the figure or table. And acknowledgement, so acknowledge any sources of help. If you have used a lab, you have taken help from somebody who is not an author of the particular paper, then you can always acknowledge their help. Then an ideal research paper is 25 to 30 pages in double type. So title is just short and informative. Abstract should be one paragraph, less than 250 words. Introduction can be 1.5 to 2 pages. Literature review, maximum 3 to 4 pages. Methods, 2 to 3 pages. Results, 5 to 6 pages. Discussion, 3 to 4 pages. Conclusion is 1 paragraph, and figures not exceeding 6 to 8. Sometimes if you have more figures, you can add, and tables and references. As I said, it could be 10 also, because if it is a recent research where there are not much of earlier papers that has been done, then your research papers will not be more. It will have only 10 or 12. But if it is a very already known research and you're expanding on that, your references could be around 20 to 50 papers also, because if you take social sciences journals, there are more number of references which are cited. And publishing ethics, because I spoke about this in the previous slide, and what are the publishing ethics and what the author should take care of. So sentences, figures, and data must be original. 2, data and errors must be truthfully reported. See, when I say it must be truthfully reported, that can be some errors that are happening in your data. It might not be as you expected also. See, if it's in a social science journal and you're talking about customer satisfaction, the customer satisfaction or in a hospitality industry may show a different index also. But report your errors truthfully, and report what you have found, because don't just think that negative results might not give any impact to the research. It's not so, because a research has 2 points. It could have a positive results also or a negative result too. And then collaborations. When you work with like-minded authors, please make sure that you involve everybody in all important decisions while publishing, while sending revisions, while the paper has been published, and also make sure that all the authors are cited in the paper. Then plagiarism should be avoided at any stage of submission, not only in the initial stage. Whenever you add new content, make sure that you're not using plagiarized content. And dual submission is very unethical. And when I talk about dual submission means you're submitting to 2 different journals at the same time, and both the journals are spending the time and effort on the paper by using their editors and the reviewers' time. So finally, both the journals cannot publish a paper, because either one journal will have to take it away, because the first published journal will have the say on the paper. But ultimately, you're wasting the effort of another journal. So which is very, very wrong. So please don't do dual submissions. Then the 6th point is withdrawal of paper after a peer review is unethical. See, you're, as I said, you're selecting a good journal which might not be in Scopus, and then you are also dual submitting your paper to a Scopus ranked journal, and finally you get all the review comments from this journal and use it to improve your paper for a Scopus ranking journal is not ethical. So let me come to the reference citations. See, I'm talking about 5 reference styles here. One is the MLA, that is Modern Language Association of America. Then APA, American Psychological Association, Chicago style, Harvard style, and Vancouver style. So I have given, you can see the differences here. See, in MLA style, the year is given at the end. In APA, it's given at the start along with the author name. Same for Chicago, it's different. And in Harvard, again, there's a slight difference. But in Vancouver, also only in Vancouver, you can see the journal's name is not italicized. In all the others, the journal's name is italicized. So I just want to give a small tip for young researchers. If you're not very sure about how to cite your paper, because when I see a lot of papers, I see that authors struggle with presenting it in an APA format. According to the journals, APA or MLA style, they struggle with structuring their references. See, if you want to cite a paper in the proper format, you can type that paper in Google Scholar, and then you will get the citation in whichever way you want. So you can try that. Or there is also another small clue which I want to give you. See, which should be italicized in a reference, where it is published. See, if it is a book, the name of the book is italicized. If it is a conference, the name of the conference should be italicized. If it's a journal, the name of the journal should be italicized. If it's a conference proceeding, the name of the conference proceeding should be italicized. So this is a very simple tip which could be helpful for young researchers. And then important steps to consider in publishing still continues, because all the while we were talking about, how you prepare the structure of your paper, what are the points you consider, how your paper should be. But after the submission and all that, you are receiving the review comments, right? And after this process, what are your obligations? Like what you have to do? So address the revisions meticulously. The reviewers might give major and minor revisions. So address all the revisions meticulously one by one. Address all the comments received from the reviewers and avoid oversights. And then resubmission of the revised manuscript should be by the deadline given by the journal. And understand that the revision process might have multiple rounds. So I explained in the publishing process itself that how many rounds it could have. At each step, it might turn around and come to you. See, please understand that the editors and the reviewers could reject your paper right away if they want to. If they are sending it back to you for revisions, they want to give a chance to the author because they feel that the paper has some potential. So please understand, if you are getting multiple revisions, that your paper has a potential, and please try to address all comments, and that will give a lot of improvement to your paper, and also it increases the chances of your acceptance. And important points, see, that could be in the review. You might provide explanations if you disagree to the point of a reviewer, and improve the language and grammar when you resubmit it again, and respect the reviewer's decisions, because reviewers are not paid in any journals to do the review work. So I take this time to acknowledge the help of all the reviewers who are working with me and working with our organization, because most of the time, not most of the time, in their entire career, they are not paid for doing this research work. They are giving this time for the purpose of continuing the research in their field. They are helping out young researchers by spending that time. So we need to value that and understand that the process takes time. So finally, after all the revisions and your paper has been accepted, congratulations. So your paper has been accepted. But what if not? What if your paper has been rejected? So try to find out the common mistakes. So one is, these are the common mistakes and the main reasons for rejections. I've tried to give out all the points. So one is formatting issues, then sending to the wrong journal, grammatical and spelling errors, too few or too many references, missing references, revealing identity of authors, tables and figures wrongly cited or missing, and wrong data in tables. Because sometimes I see in social sciences papers, the table is talking about boys and girls and the data is interchanged. So very careless mistakes by the researcher, but it ends in finally the paper getting rejected. And main reasons of rejections are not clear about the paper's contribution to the field. Second, it is not well positioned to the journal. Third, the discussion is weak. Again and again said, the discussion and the introduction are very important. And finally, see, you speak a lot in your introduction, and if your research and the conclusion is not aligning with the introduction, you promise a lot, but you are not delivering. So that could be a reason for rejection too. That is the fourth point. And then outdated references. Make sure when you give references, you give references to the very recent year. I mean, if you are publishing in 2021, take references till 2020. And then there are major methodological problems, plagiarism, and not responding to the reviewers' comments, and not responding to the reviewers' comments in time. So these are the main reasons for rejections. So I'm almost coming to the end of this webinar, and I hope whatever points I have given will be useful to you in some way, because I've tried to give my years of experience in the publishing field. So sitting from the point of a reviewer and the editor, I have given these suggestions for improvement of a paper and understanding the process, selecting a topic, and overall. So finally, while concluding, I would just talk to you about what our journals do. So we address researchers in 4 fields: scientific, technology, education, and management. And we also address media talking and researching in these areas. Our journals address education practitioners, trainers, lecturers, advisors, and consultants, authors with related interests, because we publish 28 journals. And highlights of our journals, it offers wide and clear approach to technological advancements. 2, encourages discussion of wide and varying aspects that addresses the educational sector. It supports continuing educational development fused with technological advancements, benefits educational practitioners from the researchers conducted worldwide. So this is the purpose and what we are highlighting through our journals. And why publish with this? Because, say, I would like to talk about, like, we have a good number of reviewers and editorial board members in our journals, and also we have good number of authors publishing with us, because we receive more than 300 submissions for one journal in a year, and our acceptance rates are high in certain journals, but not in every journal that we publish. But I just want to talk about what are the key features of iManager's journals. There is no publishing fee. Right from the year we started till now, we have a policy of no publishing fee. And 2, and I would explain why we have a no publishing fee, because we are not paying our reviewers. So we don't want to collect money from the authors, because our subscribers, because we believe in giving quality curated content to our readers. And if our readers are interested in subscribing to the journals, they will definitely buy from us. So next is as abstracting and indexing in leading databases. We follow double-blind peer review. We have a highly qualified editorial board. We have 18 years of publishing quality content. We give a green open access to authors. So this is something I wanted to explain. Green open access is, if an author published with us, the author receives a free online access to the journal along with a PDF copy, and we give permission to the author to post this in his institutional repository alone. So if he's part of Nehru group of institutions and you have a university library or a e-repository, the author can post his paper there, but with citation. But before that, the author has to write to us, get permission for that, and he can post his paper along with the original citation. So that is called green open access. And we give a wide social media coverage, because we are our company and journals have social media accounts in most of the popular pages, and we post all the abstracts there for free for people to read, because we want people and your research to be seen by the maximum number of people. And there are few artificial intelligence apps which are coming up in the academic publishing field, that is called wisdom.ai and sciencegate.app. So they give you a very good insight about what the paper, how the paper has been discovered and how many times it has been cited and all that. We have not posted in these sites, but they have taken the abstracts because it's been already posted in a lot of forums. So availability of the articles in world's leading institutions. So I'm very proud to say that our journals are in the United Nations Library. PubMed, we have selected articles. All our articles have a DOI through Crossref, Google Scholar, Scilit, WorldCat, ERIC, Indian Citation Post, and LearnTech. And we are also talking brief about SDG Publishers Compact. So iManager Publications has signed to be a part of UN's SDG Publishers Compact. As we are a socially responsible publisher, committed to publish peer-reviewed content on quality education through our educational journals, and sustainable cities and communities and affordable and clean energy through our engineering journals related to renewable energy and climate change, good health and well-being through our nursing journal. So the signatories of the United Nations SDG Publishers Compact, where other publishers like Elsevier, Taylor and Francis, Springer and all, they are all also part of it. We aspire to develop sustainable practices and act as champions of the sustainable development goals during the decade, that is 2020 to 2030, publishing books and journals that will help inform, develop and inspire action in that direction. You can check this link for the Compact members. Now it's a time for feedback and questions.